Hello, everybody. If you're thinking about moving to Lake Norman, North Carolina, or just want to know what it's like there, or if you're going to vacation there or visit some family there, this is the episode for you. Jessica Babington, realtor with Trump International Realty. You can see her right beside me. She's going to be telling us all about Lake Norman. But before that, this is Want to Move There, the show giving Central Pennsylvanians the info they need to decide whether they want to move to a different area or if they want a vacation there too. I should add that in too. I am your host, DerekBicksler, realtor of 15 years. I grew up on the hill in Harrisburg, went to Mechanicsburg High School, go Wildcats, went up to Penn College of Technology in Williamsport, was here ever since, had a few sales jobs before I started selling real estate 15, I almost said 30 years ago for some reason, 15 glorious years ago. Call me if you need to buy or sell a home. No, I would have had to start at 13. I did get my first job at 13, but and you might have been able to get your real estate license at least 18, but anyway, call me, text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. We still need inventory, and it's died down slightly, so good time for buyers to get back out there. Whether you're watching live or on a replay, please ask a question in the comments if you have any questions about North Carolina in general, or Lake Norman, or Charlotte's pretty close to there, so anything down there. She's your woman, and if you're just watching and know one of us, just say hi and say where you're watching from. And a reminder that all the replays are on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, all the audio places, Stitcher, Google Play. So wherever you want to listen to or watch your content, it's there. And now I'm going to shut up and I'm going to read your bio. But first, I'm going to let you say hi to everybody. So say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Derek. I'm happy to be hanging with you today. I have to try to see if I can talk as fast as you can and give everybody all the things they need to know in 30 seconds or less.
Me, you, and Amanda should have a talk fast
That's
competition.
Right. That's right. Well, I was born in New Jersey. I've been in the South most of my life, but I can speak a little Jersey still, so I can get it going if I need to.
And I just realized I was about to start reading Michelle B's information because I was typing her information because it's airing later. Okay, so Jessica Babington, if I could find it here. You did, like you said, grow up in New Jersey, Toronto, and then Atlanta also. Chattahoochee High School in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Yep, go
that's
Cougars.
A mouthful. I wish Cougars, nice. The Harrisburg, or the state capital here is the Cougars too.
Love it.
And wish I would have read that, but that was pretty good for not reading it ahead of time. The Chattahoochee High School in Alpharetta, Georgia. She went to University of Georgia for risk management. Her favorite color is purple. That's nice. The last 3 episodes I recorded, I think, was pink, pink, pink. So nice to have a switch up there. And favorite food, tough question, ice cream. I agree on that one, definitely for desserts. I actually don't allow myself ice cream because like one of those Breyers, is that a half gallon?
Mm-hmm.
That standard thing, I'll down that in one sitting, easy.
There is there's a homemade ice cream shop like a mile and a half from my house, and it is the most dangerous thing for me. I have to kind of pretend it's not there, otherwise I'll want to go every day.
What's it called? Shout it out.
2 Scoops Creamery.
Oh, and perfect name.
Like their signature flavor that is like my go-to is called Cookies by the Sea. So it's salted caramel swirls in vanilla ice cream with hunks of brownie. Or I'm really sorry, not brownie, Oreos. It's Oreos, salted caramel, and vanilla ice cream.
So they kind of have like a Ben and Jerry's kind of thing going on where they make their own and with lots of toppings within and then name them weird things.
That's right.
That's awesome. What would your favorite food non-dessert be?
Oh, that's a tough one. I love Italian food, so it would probably be some kind of awesome Italian, even just something like penne vodka is up there for me. So that's probably be some kind of pasta, maybe with some seafood in it.
Yeah, that sounds great. And you're in the right place for seafood, I assume, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And you do have pets, and you do not have any kids, and you are married to Joe, and you enjoy playing tennis and boating. And I'm going to guess it's on the lake where you're at is where you're doing the boating.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about something that I didn't go over there. Like when you were younger, what did you like to do? Tell us, where'd you go to high school? I'm not even going to try to say it without having it in front of me to read, but what were you like back then?
Yes. Yeah. So moved to Atlanta when I was 12. So as a little kid, I did a lot of winter sports. So being in New Jersey and Toronto, grew up snow skiing, figure skating, and then got to Atlanta and did none of that. So then I got more into some of the sports that are big there, like tennis. Tennis is huge in Atlanta. So I played tennis a little bit in high school. And I was actually really musically inclined, so almost went to college on a piano scholarship, which would have led me in a really different direction, but decided that that really wasn't the way I wanted to go. So ended up at the University of Georgia and became a huge college football fan, which I still am. So actually headed to Athens, Georgia, this afternoon. They play Arkansas tomorrow, which is where College Game Day will be. So they'll be in Athens, highlighting that game. So I'm meeting some of the fam in Georgia, and a bunch of us are going to that game tomorrow. So so that's always fun for me to try to get back there when I can and relive the glory days.
I hear you. I still live where the glory days were, so sometimes I try to get away from the glory days, but
yeah,
fun also. I do. I like the reunions. There's some people like, I don't want to see those people. I don't care. I'm all about it. Let's go do it. I want to see the people and hang out, and yeah, I like it. So you moved from Canada. Are you a Canadian citizen? Were your parents Canadian? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, no. So my dad was in pharmaceuticals. Used to work for the company that did lots of products with the polio vaccine, Centrum, the multivitamin, all kinds of prescription medication. So that's what took him. He's from South Carolina and ended up in New Jersey for work, which is then where I was born. And then his job took him to Toronto. So we lived in a suburb of Toronto for 4 years. So he was on a work visa. I was on a student visa there. So learned to read and write in Canada, and really enjoyed living there. It's a very, very cool place to live. People were wonderful.
Oh no, she froze. I jinxed us. I talked about guest falling off, and no, you're back.
Yay!
Now I see you moving. Yes. So you're talking about Toronto. You learned some stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the last couple seconds of it. I wrote down though a question.
Okay.
Did you have to learn French?
And that's what I said. I learned a little bit of French. So too funny. We were like right there together. So yes, I did have to learn French as a elementary school kid. So I'm not so great with like full on conversation, but I can tell you every animal and color and fruit and vegetable and count to like 1,000. I can do that. So that's
where's the bathroom?
Yeah, I can order off a menu, so some good skills that I carry with me. I can say I'm an American and I'm lost. That's a good one.
That's a good one to know too. There's always a few weird ones. Like there's a couple, like abuela. I always remember there's random words from your like foreign language classes back in the day that because you thought they were funny for whatever reason. We would always say our grandma is in the locker to the right for some reason. And we thought that was hilarious. Your abuela is whatever locker is in a la derecha or something. It was very stupid, but we thought it was hilarious. So you moved down, and then you couldn't do any winter sports, and you got into tennis.
Yes.
Tennis is kind of similar because it's an individual sport. Did you do skiing was the main winter sport, right?
Yeah, so skiing, and then I did some figure skating as a little kid. So like when you hear the skaters in big competitions doing like a triple axel, I could do one axel. So it was something. I was just getting going. Who knows what would have happened if we had stayed there? Maybe I would have really. No, I don't think. I don't really think I was that good at it. But as a kid, I really enjoyed all that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. And they're all individual. It wasn't hockey or a team thing, so it makes sense that tennis would be fun for you. And then did you play in college or did you play varsity? Was it like a serious thing?
No,
or you just I need to play a sport, so I'm playing.
Yeah. So Chattahoochee High School was actually, when I was there, they had the best tennis team in the state. So I actually didn't even play on my high school team. Tennis is so big in Atlanta that a lot of neighborhoods just have, big, like I think our neighborhood had like 10 tennis courts. So just a lot of fun, kind of rec type stuff. So I did that, out of my neighborhood in high school, and then played like kind of intramural stuff in college. Georgia's so big. I mean, to play tennis at Georgia is like, you got to be good. So yeah, certainly
That's
not
serious.
on that level. And I still, I still play now as an adult, but I'm still like not that much above a beginner, but I enjoy it.
Well, also you're somewhat short, right? And tennis players, I'm guessing, like any other athlete, are giants. At least when you get up into the upper people, they're probably bigger people, right? And you're just,
that's right.
There's a point where I can't. Venus
Yeah.
Williams is going to hit a ball so fast it's going to go through my chest.
That's right.
It's just going to go through my racket.
Yeah.
That's
So I play a
hilarious.
lot of doubles now. So I kind of, I tend to do best with somebody, a partner who is tall, and I run around the baseline and let my partner hang at the net, and so I can set them up and then they put it away.
Is your partner Joe?
Yeah, no, but I wish he would play. My husband is really tall, so I wish my husband would play because he would dominate if he would just stand there with the racket.
Just kind of stand there with two rackets, hands out. That's funny. So do you still play piano?
No, I do have a keyboard up in our bonus room, and I don't. My husband gave it to me, which was so sweet, and I have certainly gotten up there and tried to play. And he and I both thought it would maybe be a nice stress reliever for me, but it's actually kind of a source of stress because I'm not as good as I used to be, and so it's just frustrating that you can't seem to get your hands to do what you want them to do. So instead of it being like some kind of nice thing, I can just go up there and play and be in the zone. It's like, why am I no good at this anymore?
I feel you. So that was going to be a question. Does the muscle memory stay if you don't? So it does kind of take a while. Yeah.
A little bit. Yep. Yep. I'd rather, honestly, I also sang in chorus in high school, and I sang in college. And I'd rather just go out and sing karaoke. That brings me more joy.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt your hands. I could see the older you get, the harder it is probably to play guitar. Anything that deals with really fine motor skills and
and again, that goes back to being short. Like the big thing in piano is you have to be able to hit an octave with your hands, right? And so in order for me to do that, I have to actually take my hands off of the keyboard to be able to get to stretch like that. So it was like, it was clear I was not meant to be some sort of concert pianist.
Yeah, people with bigger hands probably make out. Same with guitar. It takes somewhat of a bigger finger to reach over and not hit. I tried guitar as an older person. And also as an older person, if you start something new, it sucks because when you're a kid, you hit one note on the trumpet and you're like, wow, I want to keep doing it. Right now, I want to be able to play a song in like a month from now, or it's just too tedious. It takes too long.
Yep.
Totally.
And instead, like we said, instead of this being some nice hobby that's like a stress relief, you just want to like throw the guitar out the window. The benefit is not there.
Yeah. Karaoke is much less stressful, I think. I think you made a good choice there. Yeah. So you went for risk management in college. What made you do that?
Yeah, very glamorous, right? So I was a marketing major, and at the time, marketing majors were not getting jobs when I was there. And so Georgia has a really great risk management program, which is basically insurance. Which there's a pretty big insurance presence in Atlanta and in Charlotte and in several of the southern cities. And so they have their own dedicated career fair. So their job placement out of that major is still incredibly high. And when I was there, it was something like 98% of people that came out of that major got a job. So, it was like, all right, I'm going to just do this. And worst case scenario, I have a business degree. And hopefully I end up with a job out of college that I like. And so that's kind of how I ended up there.
Sounds like me. I went for plastics engineering to start the first semester because I was really good at math. And with a 2-year degree, you started at like $80,000 a year, and then with a 4-year, it was like 100. It was something crazy, and I was good at math. And Penn College. There were only like 2 colleges that taught it. It was MIT and Penn College of Technology that I named. And I wasn't going to MIT, and my mom worked for Penn State, so it worked out. And then I switched one semester into business just because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Definitely not that, but
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's funny. So what'd you do after college then?
Yeah, so I actually did get a pretty cool job out of college. So I got a job with an international firm who was based out of London, and I was a reinsurance broker. So little kind of funny niche in insurance. So we would help bring reinsurance companies together and broker deals with insurance companies. So for instance, like one of our clients was the North Carolina Farm Bureau. So the North Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance company that sells insurance policies to, mostly rural folks in North Carolina, and they sell auto and home mostly. So if there was a giant hurricane that swept across North Carolina and took out a lot of their clients all at one time, the North Carolina Farm Bureau would not have enough cash on hand to pay all those claims at once. So they basically get their own insurance policies with these, behind the scenes companies called reinsurance companies, which are a lot of times out of Europe or maybe Bermuda. So we would help structure these deals. So say there was a, $100 million loss at a certain deductible, then these companies come in and they help cover some of the losses.
So they're insuring the insurers, basically.
That's right. Yep.
Is there a step above them? Is there anybody that insures the insurers over the insurers?
No, not normally. No.
Or is that the federal government, pretty much?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So they get a pool of money. So they're basically investor backed. On that side of it. But yeah, it was pretty interesting little job. Not little. I mean, it's because you're dealing with CEOs and CFOs and chief underwriting officers of big insurance companies a lot of the time. So it was interesting, and we got to do a lot of kind of cool entertaining. So went to the Masters. I played golf at Pebble Beach. I went to Broadway shows. So it was neat from that standpoint. But I just at the end of the day didn't quite have the passion for it to keep me there, long term.
Yeah, and a lot of the skills in risk management you can then use in real estate. Obviously, there's a lot of risk management, a lot of other hats we wear, but
that's right. And I was also a broker, right? I was a broker, so same thing. Bringing parties together and negotiating a deal, and then facilitating that and getting it across the finish line. So a lot of that stuff translates over.
Totally. So how did you make a transition? And were you in Lake Norman when you made the transition, or was this job was somewhere else?
Yeah. So I was in Atlanta, and there was kind of a little step in between. So I was in Atlanta, and my dad, at this point, he had left, the kind of big pharmaceutical companies that he had worked with, and started his own, almost like a consulting company. And he was doing, quite well. And so he actually offered me a job with his company. So that's what got me to North Carolina from Atlanta. So my parents got divorced when I was in college, and my dad remarried, and he and his wife settled on Lake Norman. So I would come up and visit, and, Charlotte is a lot like Atlanta. It's just a bit smaller. And so I felt like my boyfriend at the time and I, now my husband, we were sort of not sure where to go next in Atlanta. Where do we buy a house? And we both kind of, where are we going to commute? And his commute was terrible. And anyway, so when this opportunity came with my dad, it was like, this is a good chance for us to try something else out and move to a place that's maybe a bit smaller and easier to manage. And so we moved here, and that was in December of 2007. So we've been here a while now. So this is home for sure. And so I worked for my dad for a few years, and then that sort of, it was not a full-time gig. And so it kind of was like, all right, now what? So I actually did a lot of things, short-lived, trying to figure out kind of what is that next thing. And I didn't really want to go back to a cubicle in insurance, and knew that wasn't really my passion necessarily. And so I'd always, been interested in real estate, and Charlotte's a growing city. And so there was some cool stuff going on with real estate here. So I just thought, hey, let me get my, my license. And that was 10 years ago now. So that's kind of how I ended up deciding to take the jump into real estate.
Nice. And then what did you do? What did you do for your classes? Do they do in person? Do you go online?
Yeah, so they up until COVID, North Carolina required that you go in person. So there was no virtual option to get your real estate license in North Carolina until COVID. And I don't know if then that will be a permanent thing they'll let be, but they were not allowing that when I got my license. So I went in person down in Charlotte, and got my license through the kind of school that our local MLS board kind of works in conjunction with. And then off I went.
Yeah. I like the in-person ones myself anyway, better for anything, continuing ed, whatever. I'd rather, well, for one thing, I can kind of do other stuff too. You kind of cheat it. If I'm in person, as long as you show up, you get the credit. When you do it online, I got to actually do it and do the things and watch the video and take the quiz. If you go there, I can still work, but still I'm learning too. But sometimes there are kind of waste of time ones where you're just kind of, I got to go take this class to check this whatever requirement, which seems to be more requirements every year, but that's all right. So let's talk about where you're at now. So you found yourself to Lake Norman, and I'm going to bring up a map here if I can find it. Share screen, because nobody's going to know. And even with Chicago, I bring that up because I would guess that half the people don't know that either. So here, I'll bring it in here. So you can see there's our globe, and we're zooming in. So you're right under us. And it looks like you're in kind of like the central, almost left central, east of central kind of. And
we are, Charlotte's actually pretty far south in regards to the state itself. So in terms of where we're the interstate that I live off of, I'm exit 31, so it goes by mile markers. So I'm 31 miles from the South Carolina border.
Gotcha. How long does it take you to drive there?
Yeah, no, it depends on traffic because it's right through Charlotte to get you to the South Carolina line. But so if there's no traffic, I could do it in 30 minutes, to get down into to South Carolina, which is where it's legal to buy fireworks. So that's about the only reason why you'd make that trip.
Gotcha. Yeah, we just got it legalized here not long ago because I think everybody's driving next door. Same with the marijuana and all those things. As soon as your neighboring states start doing it and everybody's driving across state lines to buy stuff and they're collecting all the taxes, then all of a sudden you're okay with it.
That's right.
Okay, so now we got Charlotte here. So you're north, Lake Norman is north of Charlotte, and I'm assuming you take that 77 route or that 16 route maybe to the other side of it.
That's right.
And it looks like you got 150 that kind of cuts through the middle of it or something.
Yeah, it's pretty close to the top of it. North of 150, there is still some lake, but it's pretty quickly when you get north of 150, it starts to look more like the river, which is what it's fed from. So it starts to get pretty narrow north of that 150 bridge.
And it looks like a pretty big lake. Is it like you could have speedboats on it, like that?
Heck
big a lake? Yeah.
Yep. So lots and lots of speedboats. We certainly have folks that sail as well, but lots of especially so. Mooresville is the town specifically that I'm in on the lake, and it is known as Race City, USA, because we have more NASCAR shops housed here than anywhere in the country. So you talk about some folks that like to go fast. So you got some pretty fast boats you're going to find on this lake.
Huh. So boats and NASCAR. So what's is there a NASCAR track somewhere around there? Or people just
so there is a Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is in Concord, North Carolina. So it's not far. It's another kind of northern suburb of Charlotte. But if you don't know the history of NASCAR, the NASCAR Hall of Fame is in Charlotte, and NASCAR started basically with old school moonshiners running moonshine. So the history of NASCAR is in North Carolina. So that's kind of, how that all got started. So still just a lot of folks that base their operations here.
Yeah, and if you Google, it's pretty interesting to look at like the old cars because they pretty much just took cars and did something to them to beef them up to make them race, and it's a pretty cool
Yep,
thing
they had to
to
go
look
faster
at.
than the cop cars.
And I'm sure you guys like Talladega Nights as a movie down there.
Yes. Yeah. So that was filmed. A lot of that was filmed here. So the house that the big house that, Will Ferrell lives in that movie is here on the lake.
Huh, nice.
Yeah.
So what other, obviously we know there's a big lake here, and people here, you could probably equate that lake maybe to Raystown Lake. We've got this big lake near here that's big enough that you could have a speedboat or something on it, and then has all these fingers out that has all these little things. So sounds like it's similar to that. You mentioned before we got on the air that you were selling a mountain home or a home in the woods or something. So you have that as well. So just give us a little bit of an overview of the landscape. It's not flat beach. Is it kind of like PA hills, but no giant mountains? That's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, so certainly where we're at is kind of rolling, nothing major, but we are very close to kind of the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. So, within an hour you can be, to the mountains. So we're, an hour or so from some cute little mountain towns, and we're, less than 2 hours from Asheville. But then we're also, about 3 hours from Charleston, South Carolina. So we're not too far from the coast as well.
How far to how long did you say drive?
To Charleston is the closest coastal town we can get to, and it's about 3 hours.
Gotcha. Charleston, that's a big port town. Like that's a big booming place, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful there. So lots of folks in our area that frequent, down there for weekend places or vacations, or a lot of bachelorette parties from here.
That's the go-to place. We'll get to that in there too. One of my questions is for a driving vacation, where do you go?
Yes.
So we'll talk about that a little bit more. So what about the weather and the climate? Here, we're sitting in a valley, so we got clouds rolling in and they just kind of sit here. We've got, I think I heard the stat of 70 days of pure sunshine a year. So that sounds really bad. I don't feel like it's quite that bad, but what's it like there?
Yeah. So, certainly the term, Carolina blue skies came from somewhere, right? So we do see a fair amount of sunshine here where we get 4 seasons, but they're pretty mild. We can get a little hot in the summertime for sure. I mean, we are in the Southeast, but our winters tend to be pretty mild. We usually get maybe 1 or 2 snowfalls a year. And when that happens, things kind of shut down here. We don't really have the infrastructure in place to really handle the weather on our roads. So if we get more than, even if it threatens that it's going to snow, we joke that school gets canceled.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. Well, even up here, we're kind of used to it. It doesn't snow a ton, but they got the Salton trucks. We're ready for it. But now they kind of cancel school willy-nilly because there are no snow days. They just stay at home and do Zoom classes today. So it's kind of like we don't have them either, really. And you could do them pretty easily. So everybody's just kind of like, sure.
Yep. Things have definitely changed,
snow.
right?
Maybe, do you get freezing rain?
No, not really. We may get a little bit of, some ice. But the last couple of years, we really have not had much in terms of any kind of winter precipitation. But then, when we first moved here, I felt like every year we'd have one where you'd get maybe 4 to 6 inches. So it's kind of hit or miss for us whether we get it or not. But again, then you can drive. We are just right on that edge in terms of where the elevation kind of starts to go up. So you can drive, 30, 40 minutes north and it'll be kind of a different story.
Then what about hurricanes? You are about as far away from the coast as we're a few hours kind of away. So we feel it, when it's hitting the coast, but it's not as bad. Same thing?
Yep, pretty much. We tend to get some, kind of remnants, some of the rain, and maybe we'll get a little wind, but nothing, nothing to speak of any kind of significance. A couple of years ago, they were sure a big storm was coming our way that was still going to be pretty strong when it hit us, and then it didn't. So I think we maybe are close enough that if it was a big enough storm and it came in the right way, maybe we'd see a little bit of damage or some power outages. But for the most part, we tend to just get some rain and maybe a little bit of wind.
Huh. You're painting a pretty fantastic picture, which is maybe why it seems like everybody that's moving here to move somewhere else is North or South Carolina. And I did not know that you were known for blue skies, North Carolina blue skies or whatever. So
Yep.
yeah, you're painting a great picture, and you still have mountains pretty close. I'm thinking about it myself now.
Yeah.
So what are the major industries and employers there?
Yeah, so Charlotte proper, like the city of Charlotte, is known for kind of banking and finance are big industries here. It's a younger city and a rapidly growing city, and so we have Wells Fargo and Bank of America are both here and have a huge presence here. But up at the lake, we see, so Lowe's corporate headquarters is about 2 miles from my house. So that's a big employer for us here. And then a company called Ingersoll Rand is also headquartered here at the lake, which you may not know, but you would know a lot of their brands. So they do train.
We have one here. I feel like they just bought a company here or something. I definitely know the company. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so their headquarters is here in Davidson, which is the town just south of where I am, and they do club car, the golf carts, and all kinds of random brands that you might not know are theirs. But so that's a fairly decent employer here, and then of course we do have a lot of folks employed through NASCAR, so lots of pit crew guys and guys making parts and all kinds of things. So that's a source of employment here around the lake as well.
That's awesome. And selling T-shirts and all that stuff too. I'm sure there's all kinds of ancillary businesses that go along with NASCAR racing.
That's right. Yeah.
So was Lowe's always there, or did it start there? Was it always there?
Yeah, so it started in a town called Wilkesboro, North Carolina, which is about maybe 45 minutes from here. And I think they still do have a small presence up there. I think their call centers there still, but they moved down to the lake probably at least 15 years ago. I couldn't tell you exactly. And then they also now have a presence down in Charlotte. So they recently have also built some big space there too. So yeah, but they've always been here.
And are there colleges and medical centers? Those just tend to be a kind of an employer that's everywhere.
Yeah, so we do have a small private college not far from here, Davidson College, which is best known for Steph Curry. So they've got a decent little basketball program for a smaller private school. But then, most of the big North Carolina universities are more in the Raleigh area. So Chapel Hill, Wake Forest, and Duke are all about 2-ish hours from here. And then there's a UNC campus in Charlotte, which, of course is of decent size, but around the lake specifically, there's a couple community colleges, and then Davidson, which is a private college.
Do a lot of people go to North Carolina for college, to one of those ones you named?
Yeah. So yeah, obviously Carolina and Duke and Wake Forest are all big, highly academic schools. And then, Duke and Carolina obviously have, a lot of big sports, basketball being the one they're most well known for. So certainly attracts folks that either want to play basketball or want to go to a school where basketball is big. So,
yeah. And you said those are harder schools to get into, I guess. So not everybody could just choose to go there. So you pointed that out a little bit. And I'm seeing my camera is really blurry. So I'm going to fix that real quick. This has happened a couple times. There we go. All right. So what is our commute going to be like? Here you can live anywhere in the central PA radius and get pretty much anywhere else, even from one side to the other side of it, in like 45 minutes. Or like I said, my service area is kind of an hour. So what's a commute like if you were living where you are and going to Charlotte to work? What would that be like?
Yeah, so certainly we do have traffic. I'm not going to pretend that we don't. We do recently, within the last couple of years, the 77, the interstate that you saw on the map, they have added an express lane. So it's kind of a toll on demand. So the pricing changes based on how much traffic there is. to utilize that. So it's, priced by exit. And so you can choose to hop on there, which makes a huge difference in times of big traffic to try to get from here into Charlotte. So, if you were living where I live and were commuting into uptown Charlotte, it would be probably 45 minutes if you didn't use that express lane. So it's not horrible. But certainly we had it before COVID, but now we really have it. We have a whole lot of people around our lake that work remotely. So, we certainly attract those that want the quality of life that the lake allows, and can kind of, set up shop at home and do what they need to do at home and then be done when you're done and go out on the lake or tennis or golf or what have you.
So do a lot of people that live in the Lake Norman area tend to work and play and live all in that area, or do people tend to go to the Charlotte?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of the lake people are lake people, and they only really go into the city, for a sporting event or a concert or to go to a nice dinner here and there. But they, they tend to really appreciate the kind of more laid back vibe that the lake gives you, and aren't necessarily city people. Certainly, some are. Some are going to be second home, people around a lake, and so they're going to have a place somewhere else and just come here as a getaway. So there's certainly some of that, but the full-time residents, tend to like a little bit more laid back, and so they're not maybe, heading into Charlotte on the daily.
Yeah, and I would guess a lot of in an area like that, like at Raystown, like I was saying, every other house is an investment or a vacation house or an Airbnb or something. Is it kind of the same thing? Like, what do you think the ratio is, residents to non-residents?
Yeah, I mean,
or homes that are owned by non-residents, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting stat to know, and I probably should see if it's out there somewhere because I don't know the exact number. I certainly think it's way more full-time than part-time, so it's more than a 50-50. It's definitely more folks that are here full-time that call it home, but there are still a lot of vacation rentals, and depending on where you are on the lake, a couple of the towns don't allow them, but some of the towns do, and so there's certainly vacation rentals and then second homes too, for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic Airbnb spot to be doing short-term rentals.
Yes.
And then my favorite part, which you're at a lake, you got mountains close by. It sounds like a very good outdoors place. So let's talk about what there is to do. I guess start with water stuff.
Yes. Yep. So we're, like we talked about, a big lake. So I think we got about 550 miles of shoreline. So big lake. And so there's all the boating things you could ever want to do. So, certainly just cruising around on a boat and hanging out with friends. There's fishing, all the water, wake surfing, wakeboarding, water skiing, all those things, fair amount of that goes on. A couple, sailing clubs around the lake. So people that sail as well. So all of those, kind of fun boating activities happen here. And then there's, a couple spots where people like to tie up and just hang out and, maybe have a couple drinks on a pretty afternoon. That certainly happens too. Are
there creeks and things that kind of feed into it or elsewhere for kayaking and that kind of thing?
Yeah. Yep. Yes, certainly. And yeah, so certainly some kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding, that's a thing as well, here too. So that's really, really fun, and then there's a couple good parks around the lake that you can go and, hike or walk or bike, some nice mountain bike trails that run through a couple of the parks, which is nice. And then we're, like I talked about, about an hour from some really, really nice, mountain hiking options or, off-roading. There's a couple really cool parks that you can, if you have a Jeep or a, four-wheel drive, vehicle of any kind, and you want to go, get muddy. There's certainly options for that within about an hour. Still fair amount of places you can go also and hunt within about an hour of here. So if that's your jam,
That's what I just wrote down. What do people hunt for? Deer is the biggest thing here, probably.
Yep. So deer, as well, here for sure. And then a little bit of, turkey, and I think some places not too close to here, but you can get pretty quickly within maybe 2-ish hours to places if you wanted to hunt for hog, I think.
Oh yeah, they're taking over the forests in Carolina. That's right. Are they? They
Yes.
like pay people to shoot those things, don't they?
Yeah, they're gnarly.
That looks
Not
fun
my
to
jam.
do the helicopter. They have helicopter shooting trips, I think, or something.
Yes, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's pretty crazy, and they are nasty big animals, so you got to be careful with those hogs.
Is that good eating? Do you know anybody that hunts and kills those things?
You got me. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Actually, that's a good question, which is actually, no, I'll wait because it's the next question. So you got the Appalachian Trail within an hour, you got hunting, you got fishing, fly fishing, or more the deep water?
So fly fishing, certainly if you get up into the mountains. So again, you could probably within an hour or so get to some fly fishing. My husband does a little bit of that. So I know there are options that aren't far. You kind of have to get into more running water than like the lake allows. So not really fly fishing in the lake, but if you get up into the mountains, then there are some good options.
And then what about festivals like First Friday and Arts Fest and 4th of July festivals?
Oh
and
yeah.
that stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah, certainly lots of that. And, lots of cultural options as well in Charlotte. I mean, they've got, a really nice, theater presence and all the concerts and, major league teams and the like that are not far, so we have, major, we have an NFL team, we have a, NBA team, we just got an expansion soccer team, we have a minor league baseball team. So all of that is within Charlotte. But then up at the lake, each one of the little towns around the lake has a really great personality, and most of them, have a cute little downtown. And so they're always doing cool stuff. And then there's really nothing for me better than the 4th of July on this lake. It's a very patriotic group of residents. And, so there are several places that shoot off professional fireworks, but then lots of residents that just shoot them off. And so to see them kind of reflect off the lake is so pretty. And, just boats everywhere with big American flags and lots of cookouts and barbecue and, just good old American, fun. So that's probably my favorite holiday on this lake. It's just always such a good time.
Nice. And you did mention that you have to drive to South Carolina to get your fireworks. So is that what
you want the
everybody does?
real
They
ones?
go buy the illegal ones and then they bring them up to Lake Norman and shoot them off?
Correct. Not me. I
So
don't
just
do that.
legalize them, North Carolina.
That's right.
Just legalize them.
That's right.
That's funny.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. And fireworks was one of my questions, so you answered that already. And then you said stadiums. So if you were going to see like Justin Bieber or Katy Perry or not Cat Williams, who's the other? Not Dave Chappelle. Why is that the comedian?
Dave Chappelle was
Kevin
here last
Hart.
night,
Kevin
actually.
Hart packs stadiums. If you're going
Yes.
to see a comedian that packs stadiums. So do they have all those stadiums have acts, or is there one predominant one that usually gets all the acts?
Yeah, so we've got it's the arena that does our NBA, Charlotte Hornets games. That is the main spot for big arena concerts. Then we have a nice amphitheater as well for, when you want to go see Jimmy Buffett or Kenny Chesney or that kind of thing, and hang out outside. And then we've got some nice, kind of smaller mid-sized venues as well. So I was just saying last night, Dave Chappelle was here. When you mentioned him, it's funny you mentioned him. He was here last night.
He's touring?
He is, I guess. He was in Charlotte last night. You could see him for like $30.
What? I saw him last time he toured, and then his special came out. And this is the test with comedians. I'm getting off on a tangent here, but a comedian. So I also saw Amy Schumer. Saw Amy Schumer. It was the same exact thing as her special that had come out before the tour. You do it the opposite. You tour, and then on the last night in New York City, you tape your special. So
That's
that
right.
It's all new. Dave Chappelle, when I saw he came out with a double after his tour, and there were some jokes that I had heard and some not. So it was like half and half. So you saw
Way
him or not?
better. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
saw
I've
him?
seen Dave Chappelle as well years ago in Atlanta, and he is the real deal.
Yeah, it's something else,
Yeah.
and I like that he does the theaters because he's not packing stadiums these days either. But I'd much rather see it in a stadium or a amphitheater or whatever.
Yeah.
And now we
Yeah.
get to that driving vacation question that we started talking about earlier. So if you're going
Yeah.
to drive to the beach or drive to any vacation, what are the go-to spots?
Yeah, so lots of options for weekend trips from here, which is really cool. So like we talked about, Charleston is kind of the closest coastal town you can get to, and so that's a big weekend getaway for folks here. And there's several different beaches right around Charleston, which are nice too. So you can kind of go do the beach thing, but then go into Charleston if you want a nice meal or whatever. So that's a big one for us. And then Asheville. North Carolina's very easy weekend trip for us too, straight interstate the whole way. And, that's a really cool scene. They just have so many cool breweries, and there's a great, food presence there. And then so many outdoor activities you can do, from there.
I was going to say Asheville has come up a lot of times when I put into a group, like, where should I section hike the trail,
Yes.
or I think it's big mountain biking place maybe now.
Yep. Mountain biking, hiking. There are some, there's just all kinds of outdoor options that you can do there, which is nice. And then so many cute little mountain towns around it too. So just lots of fun spots to sneak away for the weekend. And then we're also about 4 hours from Wilmington, North Carolina, which then, that opens up a lot of little beach towns around there as well. So really, tons of options within a good, easy weekend drive distance from here.
Yeah, and you're a few hours closer to Florida and even more south, so it's a little bit.
That's right,
I've driven
yeah.
to Key West before.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
driven there twice actually. It's fun on the way there. You're like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and then the way back you want to drive. Yeah.
Yeah, you drive. I'm gonna pass out.
So,
my
my family, Derek, as a kid, we used to drive in an old 80s Ford Crown Vic station wagon with the wood panel on the sides. Like we were totally Griswold from Toronto to my grandparents in Tampa, Florida, or my other grandparents in Spartanburg, South Carolina. You talk about, because back then my mom would put an air mattress in the back of that thing. Like we would just hang out. But yeah, I can't do those kind of road trips now.
Not as the parent driver, no. Maybe as the kid in the back.
Yeah.
Especially these days, if you got phones and movies and wouldn't be too bad. But driving it, terrible torture. So what about flying? If you're going to fly somewhere, what airport are you going out of?
Yeah, Charlotte. So Charlotte is a huge airport. Lots of direct flights everywhere. It's an American hub. But then if you needed another option, you could go, to Greensboro or, even to Greenville, South Carolina. But Charlotte is, 20 minutes from the lake, and lots of direct options from there.
Are there any train station, bus station, Amtrak, any of that kind of stuff anywhere?
Yeah, Amtrak does run out of here. So yeah, there are certainly, train options, and we do have a, public bus, system. And so, yeah, certainly you could Greyhound it from here. I've never done that, but it's here.
It's not the most. I used to Greyhound from college to home, which was about 2 hours, because my girlfriend was still here. Like every weekend I would Greyhound it. That wasn't too bad. But I looked into taking a train to Florida, maybe a year or two ago, and it's not any cheaper, really. It's just as expensive. So I don't know why anybody, sorry Amtrak, but it didn't seem like a good option.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is kind of the next question is kind of along the same lines. What is there to do, but a little bit more centered on kind of is there any fun trivia or isms about the people there? Or here, if you asked us how far it is to get somewhere, we're going to give you time, how much time it's going to get you to somewhere. I think in New York, or someone said, you say 5 miles or it's 10 miles, but that doesn't tell me crap about it. So is there any fun trivia or anything?
Most of the people that live around here are from other places. We don't, we tend to be, because we're such a growing city, Lots of folks coming from all over the place. But the old school Southern, way of getting you somewhere would be, landmarks. So you go down to the gas station and you turn left, then you'll pass the church, and then you make a right at the church. And so it's not far. You just go down.
Right.
So,
hold on. I gotta get my pencil. And that one I don't like either because I don't know the landmarks. Yeah. And we don't tend to know the names of the streets and highways either. We kind of know where to go, but nobody knows.
Yep.
In other places, like you take, 177, and I kind of know because I'm a realtor, but a lot of people don't even know. That highway over by the thing.
Right. Well, especially now with GPS, we're putting it in our phone and we're pushing go, and you're not looking. You're just, okay, I'm turning right here. I don't know the name of this road. I'm just turning right here. So that's not helping. That's not helping. But like we talked about, certainly we're known for, the lake, but, known for NASCAR being here. Charlotte's kind of known as the Queen City. There's some inspiration there with the name and being, anyway. So some of that.
What about barbecue?
Yes, I was going to say from a food standpoint, we definitely have some barbecue that we're known for, and just kind of good Southern, Southern food. But yeah, barbecue is definitely a big thing in North Carolina for sure. And they've got their own kind of unique way of doing it. So the sauce has to be kind of vinegar based as opposed to the more traditional, like kind of ketchup based barbecue sauce that you might think of. This is more of a spicy vinegar that they use on the barbecue here, which is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I wasn't going to put you on the spot, but I was going to ask because I knew there's Carolina barbecue and then there's all the others, or what?
So yeah, no, there's definitely, you think about like, Kansas City barbecue, and then, Georgia's kind of got their way of doing things, which I'm a little partial to as well. And then, Texas barbecue. So everybody's kind of got their own spin on it, but North Carolina does a good job. Kind of interesting. Like if you got a traditional North Carolina barbecue sandwich, it's going to have coleslaw on the sandwich. So it's going to be like your barbecue with the oil or with the vinegar type sauce, and then a coleslaw on top of that on your, bun. So that's kind of unique the way they do that, which is pretty good. Can't hate on.
So basically you got you have Charlotte and all that and all the sports and everything, and then you have tons of NASCAR and racing culture, barbecue, and then obviously the whole lake culture that comes with living on a lake and all that kind of stuff. So and then the mountain stuff. You said an hour away you got the Appalachian Trail or so you could hike to Maine or to Georgia as far as you want to go. So
that's right.
Sky's probably the limit.
Cool.
And now we got. I told you I don't push this through fast enough. We got about 6 minutes left to talk about this, but let's talk about what people can get for the money. So let's first start with what's the average or median price or whatever you can tell us off the top of your head.
Yeah. So certainly we are still a relatively inexpensive place to live in comparison to a lot of the rest of the country. Like all of the rest of us, prices continue to go up, but you can still get, a decent little house, and starting off here in the 250s. It's not as easy to find as it used to be, but you can get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house here. It's not going to be on a lot of land, but it's gonna still be a nice little house in a neighborhood. Around that price point. Or certainly there's townhouse options, in that price point. I think our median price point's drifting ever closer to that 400 mark, but it's still somewhere in the 300, mid 300 range for kind of our median price. Of course, you start to talk about waterfront, and that's a different beast. Then you start, getting into the, the $1 million price point to get a house on the lake, with your own dock. So that's a bit of a different thing, but you can still get a very nice house here, for $400,000 to $500,000, and then our taxes are very reasonable. So it's a good place to live, if you still want, relatively low, cost of living.
Yeah, it sounds pretty similar to here. So in that 250-ish house, is that going to be like a ranch, or you might get a 2-story, it might be a bi-level, and it's going to be in a neighborhood with a 2.15 to maybe a quarter acre, that kind of thing. One car
Yeah,
garage,
so
maybe.
yeah, yep. So around our kind of old school little downtowns, you might find an older ranch, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch. Maybe it has a garage, maybe it has a carport, that maybe was built in the 60s, on a third of an
They were
acre.
200,000 a year ago, and now they're 275.
That's right, exactly. Yep. And then we've got some little neighborhoods that were built, maybe late 90s or early 2000s, where you might find a little, 1,800 square foot, 2-story, with a maybe 1 or 2 car garage, that you can still find in that high 200s. You're fighting over them right now. You're fighting over them, but they're there.
Yeah, we're fighting over everything everywhere. So are they
Yep.
also building new ones there that people can get?
Yeah, yep. So, we're as the sprawl, comes out from Charlotte, we're starting to see that, the new construction creep further out into, what really has been farmland, kind of undeveloped land around the city. And so, yeah, we're seeing new construction pick up. It's, not quite fast enough right now, of course, to keep up with demand, but they're working on it. They're trying.
Yeah, same everywhere. There's a housing shortage nationwide, and ADUs are becoming, as all of us clubhouse people are being shoved.
That's right.
ADUs,
Where's
ADUs.
Rogelio?
And then what about what was I going to ask? Now I just blanked. 250. You said 500. 1-car garage. I forget. Let's go to that 450 or 500. You're up in the, what do you have to get to get a 3-car garage, 3,000 square feet, and like an acre of land-ish, a kind of a, I guess the starter McMansion.
Yeah. So then we're starting to see that, you used to say you could probably be in the 400s and get that. Now I think we're north of $500,000 now, where you would start to really get into, some nicer options and some more square footage, and maybe that 3rd-car garage, and going up to an acre of land is starting to push you into the 600s. Really, it's just been bananas what has happened with our, pricing in the last 18 months.
And it sounds like you have plenty of choices, whether somebody wants a townhouse or in a little, we have coal towns here. I don't know if your old little towns are coal towns or otherwise towns.
Yeah, they were little railroad stops. Railroad towns is what we were.
There you go. But you got that kind of like small town feel, which would be older homes in a little row house or something. Probably single families in there too. So you could have that kind of life. You could probably have newer townhouse developments that I'm guessing are around. And then the typical single families that everybody's looking at.
That's right.
And then you mentioned farmland too. So there's full-size farms and farmettes available too.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly have to get a little further out, right? So you're not going to be quite as convenient to things, but yeah, we certainly still do have some, more rural options that aren't too far away.
And then that mountain home that you're selling right now, tell us a little bit about that, or about a general option would be like out in the mountains.
Yeah, so I'm actually selling some land out there right now, but there are, lots of great options with houses in the mountains. That might be some kind of cool, a lot of them are kind of cool 70s architecture with some, different things going on that feel more mountainous. And there's a couple little ski resorts that are, less than 2 hours from here, and you can get some cool, little condos, on the mountain or near the mountain, kind of things too. So there's lots of options in the mountains as well, in terms of, what kind of housing you're looking for.
I'm glad you said that, because I meant to ask about skiing and the things to do part, and that was going to be one of them. So I'm glad you said that. What'd you say? A couple hours away.
Yeah. It's not going to be amazing skiing. We don't get a lot of great snow for that. It's a lot of man-made snow, but there are options. You can certainly ski, within 2 hours of Charlotte. Absolutely.
Same here. It's all ice, all blown, but we still go because we got to ski.
That's
I don't
right.
anymore because my knees can't take it, but yeah, that's great. And now we got about a minute left. So let's do our last question real quick. And I'm assuming real quick that if somebody wanted like a $5 million budget or any kind of budget, there's something for them down there also. It's so anywhere from the 200s or I'm guessing there's even cheaper options somewhere here and there, but up to the multi-million and everything.
Yes.
So real quick, in about 10 seconds, tell me what other profession you would do if you could do something else.
Yeah, I would probably be like a brand ambassador or some kind of advocate for something. I just, if it's something I'm passionate about, I love to talk about it, as you can see. So it would probably be something in that relation, unless I just threw caution to the wind and was like a country singer.
That's awesome. And I think you should get back into your singing. Not
You're
just
sweet,
karaoke.
Dear.
So I'm going to leave Jessica's for the last 20 seconds to hear her information up here. You can catch it in the description wherever you're watching or listening. All her information to reach out to her is there. Contact me if you need to buy or sell a home. Call me, text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. We still need inventory. Thanks for watching and listening. We got 2 seconds. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.